I think if you're a person who's into growth, like if you're a Christ follower, it's scripture's clear. Like there's a development process, there's a sanctification process, all of that stuff in a relationship with Christ. But really our thing is like, how can we become 1% better every day? Not like, I lost 100 pounds now it's been a little bit over 5 years, but I lost 100 pounds in about 4 years. It wasn't quick.
Yeah.
But it was just plateau, and then, okay, what I got to do to dig in? And it's just, how can I just continue to get 1% better?
Welcome to the Age of Lions podcast, a platform and community dedicated to bringing purpose, strategy, and calling to kingdom-minded people who are 50 plus and excited about their next chapter. Here's your host, Mark Clement.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to the Age of Lions episode 45. We have an incredible guest today, Ken Joslin. You heard a little bit of him there at the beginning of the podcast, and what an incredible guest he is, and we're so honored to have him today. Ken is a former pastor turned business person and coach. He was in the real estate market for a long time and did like $250 million in sales, and then moved into the coaching space and runs a conference called the Create Conference, which is one of the biggest Christian entrepreneur leadership type conferences in the country in Atlanta. Every year we talk about that in the podcast. He has a brand new book that has just come out called The 14 Frequencies of Proximity. And proximity, relationships, being in the room with people, big thing for Ken. Wrote a book on it, and we're going to talk about that today as well. And it's just an incredible interview, high energy. Ken's a very driven, punchy's the word that comes to mind, just like it's like hit after hit after hit after hit. And it's just his life and the way he lives it. And I've known Ken for a long time. He and I met years ago in Atlanta. That's where his church was, and I was part of a conference for several years called the churchplanners.com conference with Sean Lovejoy and David Putnam and some other guys, and they put that on. It was their event, but my company ran that for them and kind of administrated it. Met Ken through that. We've been at parties together since then. We crossed paths. His daughter worked at Highlands College. He lived in Birmingham for a while. He's just one of those guys that has always kind of been in my proximity. I've been in his orbit, and we just sort of keep crossing paths, and we'll spend time together and talk. And so it was really fun to take that kind of energy that we have outside and bring that into the podcast and have an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour, to just talk and kind of go deep on the topic of aging, as always, the purpose in that, the calling. And Ken, as a coach, and the way he leads and coaches people, a lot of his groups and his masterminds and things like that, I got a chance to sit on one of those earlier this year. It's a lot of people my age and older, our age and older, who are making a turn in life, doing something different, starting a business, launching a ministry, doing a nonprofit, and they're looking for coaching. And so anyway, we have so much in common, so much to talk about. It's a super fun interview, and it'll go by very quick. It's a lot of energy, and you're really going to enjoy it. So tune in for that. We'll get into that in just a second. As always, want to remind you to like, subscribe, follow whatever platform you're engaging with our content, whether it's YouTube or Apple Podcast or iHeartRadio or Spotify or whatever it is. Make sure you're tuning in. Those things are not ego things for me or for the podcast. It is simply the more people click those buttons, the more it'll promote it and put it in front of other people that have similar interests. And we have all these keywords and all this algorithm stuff that's going on in the background. And so when people say we like this, it gives it to more people and promotes it to more people. So our goal, of course, is not promoting us, but promoting the topic and promoting the conversation. And so feel free to do that. That would help us out a ton. And that way it'll always pop up right in your feed as soon as the episodes go live. So make sure you do that. And then if you haven't done it already, I want to encourage you to go to ageoflions.com and click one of the subscribe or like buttons on there. And it'll just take you to a very little form. It's like name, phone number, and email. And it just puts you in our system so that we can text you or email you when new things are happening. We did a big push for that to all of our followers in that system when we launched season 2 last week. And so we don't blow up your email or your text. We don't take advantage of it. We just try to use it to help you know what's going on at the right moment. So love to have you as part of the community. And also feel free to comment on any platform, social media platforms, on the website. Let us know how this is impacting you. Let us know that it's making a difference. If you've got ideas, you've got guest ideas. I was in Tulsa this last weekend. You can see behind me, there's cases, and we had a big project there. Shout out to Trinity Presbyterian Church in Owasso. just outside of Tulsa, Pastor Blake, and we had a phenomenal weekend with them. But while I was there, I got the privilege, you heard me last week talk about Alan and Brenda Miller, who become really good friends of ours, and they're avid listeners of the podcast. Every time I see them, they're bringing up stuff from the recent episodes, and this was no exception. And they had 3 or 4 people. They're like, man, if you could have this person and so forth. And it was awesome. And they're also praying with me as partners and friends about other guests that we're working on getting. And so we'd love for you to join that group, put your 2 cents in, let us know how it's affecting you. That would mean the world to us. So without further ado, let's get into it with Ken Joslin. What's up, Ken Joslin? How are you, my friend?
I'm good, dude. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm so good. Super excited to have you on today. This is a highlight for me and for our audience. I'm super excited to introduce you to our crowd and let them learn a little bit about you.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Why don't you tell everybody, I gave kind of the professional bio at the beginning before we got on here, but just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what your heart is, a little bit about your family, all that, so they kind of know who you are.
Yeah, Ken Joslin, Alpharetta, Georgia. I have the honor of really, people place, what do you do? Boil it down.
Yeah.
I pastor high-performing faith-based entrepreneurs around the country. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I spent half the last 25 years in full-time vocational ministry, pastoring and planting churches in the Atlanta area. Grew one of the largest youth ministries in the country back 96 to about 2001. And the other half of that, top producing mortgage broker, top producing real estate agent, and ran into a little dude named Grant Cardone in October of 2019. Had no idea who he was. Go to his event, become a licensee, start speaking for Grant and doing the stuff I'm doing. And I'm in there, and one day God goes, I want you to do what Grant's doing for faith-based entrepreneurs, with the focus being on this core 5 framework and faith, health, and relationships being the foundation that God uses to be able to build a business and finances on. So we've been chasing the dream for 6 years, man.
Yeah. And man, you have blown up. You're having incredible success. Your conference is huge. We'll talk a little bit more about all that. You got a book coming out. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for people to kind of hear your philosophy. I had the privilege of being on one of your master classes a few weeks ago and really learned a lot about kind of your approach to things and the frequency philosophy that you have, which I just love. But your story is amazing. We were talking a little bit before we started recording about how we knew each other, and Sean Lovejoy, who's been a guest on the podcast. If you haven't heard that episode, people that are watching and listening, go back and listen to it. It's amazing. But Sean's a good friend and a church planner and had a conference called churchplanners.com. And I used to run that for him, and Ken was a participant and one of Sean's top guys. And we just had all these cross things. Then I got to work with his daughter, Ken's daughter, at Highlands College for a few years, and know her not super well, but we were different teams, but know her, knew her boss really well. He's a good friend of mine, Seth Perkins, and I just love her. But when we have these conversations, before we kind of get into your stuff, we always kind of kick it off asking everybody some baseline things. And the first one is always, what was the aha moment in your life when you kind of went, hey, I'm still me and I'm doing my thing and I'm doing better than ever, but I am getting a little older. Like you start feeling it. You're
on my 3rd set of chest today. When my body's like, dude, you've been sick for 9 days. You ain't doing, I think I was on my last set, so 255, supposed to be 7 or 8 reps. I did 5. And I was struggling to get 5. So every day I go to the gym, reminds me of how old I am. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, Mark, but that's the truth, man.
No doubt, man. There's so many markers like that where you just go, things are not the way they were once before. Yeah. And it's a constant thing of like, okay, you have to accept it or you're going to hurt yourself. I mean, there's a reality to it, but also it's like, how do I adjust to still get results, to still be thriving?
That's right. I think
it's such a challenge.
I think if you're a person who's into growth, like if you're a Christ follower, it's scripture's clear. Like there's a development process. There's a sanctification process, all of that stuff in a relationship with Christ. But really our thing is like, how can we become 1% better every day? Not like, I lost 100 pounds now it's been a little bit over 5 years, but I lost 100 pounds in about 4 years. It wasn't quick. Yeah. But it was just plateau. And then, okay, what I got to do to dig in? And it's just, how can I just continue to get 1% better? Age-wise, at 57 years old right now, dude, I feel better than I ever have before. Outside of this head cold I've got, I feel better. I'm stronger. I'm leaner. I put a size 36 pants on for the first time since I was probably 12.
Yeah, baby.
Like 2 weeks ago to Wharton Church. I'm like, I'm winning, baby. But it's how can I get 1% better every day?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And anytime I see somebody who's lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
you kind of started before the drug thing kicked in, but over those
Yeah.
last couple of
Yeah.
years, do people assume that you're doing that?
or I had surgery. I'm like,
Yeah.
how'd you do it? I did it the old fashioned way. I
That's
ate
right.
less than I worked out. It's
That's
exactly what
right.
it is. And I've got, I know we're going to talk about my book in just a minute. It's all about proximity. It really is a cheat code. And Gary Brecka, who I know you know who he is, and a lot of people in your audience, Gary's been a dear friend for 5 years. Like he's walked almost, like goosebumps, dude. He's walked almost this whole journey with me. And I never would have been able to do what I've done in my personal health journey over the past 5 years without guys like Gary. And so it's like, okay, how can I learn from? How can I get better? Just really going, Jesus, I just want to become the best version of Ken. So you can use me and we can have, like we talked about off air, that kingdom impact and influence. Like how do I become the best version? Because I love Dave Ramsey's thing. He goes, my worst enemy, my guy I should compare myself with is that guy I shave with in the mirror every day. Like it's me versus me, dude.
That's right.
How can I get better so I can then fulfill what God created me to do?
Yeah, I love that about your message because you really highlight that. I think so many people suffer from, comparison and comparison being the thief of joy, and we all know that quote. But it's true, especially in today's age, with all we're exposed to so much. And you do a great job of saying, "Hey, none of that matters. I can't compete. I'm not trying to compete with these people. It's just me versus me. How do I get better?" And I asked that about the drug thing because you want full credit. You've done a lot of work.
Yeah. No, I have.
didn't
Now,
take a
I
shortcut.
am on Reddit True Tried, and I've been on Reddit for about 5 months. But I mean, I've probably dropped 10 pounds, 12 pounds, but I fluctuate 10 pounds.
Right.
But I'm up 6 from my last doctor's appointment a month and a half ago. So I told my wife, I said, Monday, back on keto, no margaritas. Keto, no margaritas. And I'll knock it out for 30 days and I'll drop that weight again. But so I have used a little bit lately, and it really just is on the appetite side. But there's so many other, like for Reddit True Side, so many other positive side effects you get out of that, and not just the appetite suppressant. There's a ton of stuff it does, gut health and all those kind of things.
Yeah, that's fascinating. How do you feel different now than you did maybe 10 or 15 years ago? Like, what's the difference between 57-year-old Ken and 40 or 45-year-old Ken? What's changed the most for you?
Well, I tell you what, I'll take it back to Sean Lovejoy, who's been a close friend of ours. Sean was one of my overseers, helped me plant my church with ARC in 2010. And we did our first ever mastermind that I did. I didn't even know what a mastermind was until about 4 years ago. And that's a whole story about how I even walked into, they asked me to come speak and be a partner and all this stuff, and how that went sideways. And I just listened to God and I obeyed God in a hard moment. But I walked into our first mastermind, May of 2022. We had just did our first Create conference in January with John Maxwell and Jesse Itzler and Randy Garn and Jen Gottlieb and just Erwin McManus, just a bunch of amazing human beings, and had 160 people in the room. We started our mastermind there. And I'll never forget, Gary Brecka's on stage with me. And Gary puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, whoever joins this mastermind, Sage and I are part of it, whoever joins, I'm going to help you with your health journey for the next 12 months. Well, I mean, now that was 5 years ago. 4 years ago, Gary wasn't who Gary is now. Because now he's $1,000 an hour, but he goes, I'm going to help you. And I looked at him and I went, what did you say? And he goes, Sage and I are in, and we're going to help whoever's. And I'm like, so we had our first mastermind in May. Well, Sean had just published his book called Killer Teams with Baker Publishing. So I had Sean come in, and Casey Graham, which I think you know Casey as well. I had both those guys come in and speak at my mastermind. And the next week we had 24 people show up, all 7-figure and 8-figure faith-based entrepreneurs. Sean and I had lunch the next week, and this is what he said. He goes, Ken, he said, what I've watched God take you through over the past 15 years, because that's how long we've been friends. He's been my coach and pastor and mentor for a long time. He goes, what I've watched you go through the last 15 years was to prepare you to do what I saw you do in that room with that level of entrepreneurs, because I've never seen anything like that in my life. And so what's the difference between, that was 5 years ago or 4 years ago. What's the difference between 52-year-old Ken or 53 to 57 right now is, I think, Mark, there's a point when you get to a certain age, which is about us. Like if you start getting close to 50, you're like, okay, God, what do you have? Like, what is this? And I've just really leaned into understanding that this is a marathon, and what God's doing, Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good. Like, God, I know whatever you're doing in my life today is to prepare me for what you have me to do tomorrow. But I think it's just embracing that. And it's not competing in a negative way with myself, but it's like, nope, dude, you're going to become the best version of yourself, whether you like it or not some days. Like that's the drive. And when Sean said that to me, he goes, Ken, what I've watched you go through for the past 15 years was to prepare you to do what I saw you do in that room with 24, 7, and 8-figure faith-based entrepreneurs. And Sean said, I've never seen anybody do what you did in there.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, God, this is what you've called me to do. This is the gift you've given me. And so I think it's perspective. Obviously the health journey, my testosterone, my weight, I feel I'm lifting heavier. I feel great. I'm more flexible. My sleep hadn't been great last couple of weeks. I got a sinus infection, but my tracking sleep. I'm just taking the best care of me so I can make the biggest difference for the kingdom.
Yeah, for sure. What else are you doing besides the health stuff? I know you're incredibly strategic. So like when it comes to your physical health, you talked about that, emotional health, spiritual health, mental health. What are you doing across the board with intention to improve and take care of yourself? And a lot of times we'll say in here, invest in the future because it really is an investment.
$1,000,000%. I probably spend on average $60,000 to $100,000 a year on personal for me. Masterminds. Erwin McManus called me 3 years ago. Erwin called me. I'm in Birmingham still. We're still in Birmingham. I'm at the taco stand on 280 that Lane Strand showed me. Right there on 280 in Inverness at the Shell Station. Best tacos in America, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they're
Birmingham, Alabama, 280. Traffic sucks. Tacos are amazing. And I'm having a taco and Erwin calls me. And I'm like, hey, Pastor, what's going on? He goes, hey, man. He goes, thinking about, really stepping out and doing some of this faith-based kind of mastermind for business guys. And you're doing it really, really well. Do you think I can do it? Like, Erwin, I said, Erwin, tell me about your mastermind. And he told me, and I said, how much is it? And he told me the price. It's $35K. And I said, tell Elisa to send me an invoice. I'm in. And he goes, Ken, I didn't call you to be a part of my mastermind. I said, Erwin, if you're putting a room together, I want to be in that room. Like, I want to be in that room. There's 24 guys in that room, 2 billionaires. Tom Patterson, the CEO of Tommy John Underwear. Jerry Lorenzo, the CEO of Fear of God and Essentials, like the number one clothing designer guy in the world. I'm sitting next to Ben Newman. Ben was USA Today #2 motivational guy, was on Nick Saban's staff forever. Dude, the room was like, how do you not get better? So what do I do intentionally for me? Couple things. Number one, morning routine. 4 things I do every morning outside. Once I'm done with my quiet time, it's goals, gratitude, affirmations, and top 3. Every day. What are my goals? I have my goals split into business goals, personal goals. Super quick. Mine are numerical. So this is a real easy framework for your audience to grasp hold of. I have 4 goals. 10, 5, and 1, which is 10 new community, 5 new circle, 1 new corner member a month, 1,200 people at Create, top 250 podcast, and 10 and 10. 10 corporate speaking engagements for the year, 10 churches for the year. Those are my 4 business goals. My whole team knows exactly where we're going with those goals. Personally, when I started this health journey, in October of 2019, I came home and I said, I'm going to lose 66 pounds. Well, I've got 4 personal goals: to lose 106 pounds. When I put 66, and when I got to 60, I moved it to 86. When I got to 86, I moved it to 106. And I'd usually stay between 90 to 100 and something down total. Time with my girls. In 2 weeks, I'm taking my wife, her 3, my stepkids, and 2 of my daughters. We're all going to Disney for a week. We're gone for 6 days, 7 days, taking them to WAFT or training, shooting guns, and all the scenario training that my buddy Philip does with us there. We're going to have a blast, but time with the girls. Like, that is one of my things. So I make sure, dude, I calendar time with I have 4 daughters, 30, 27, 22, 17. 3 of them went to Highlands College. 1 of them's on staff at Highlands College. I'm so specific on, yes, I'm going to do that. The third one, personal, is me, healed and whole. This is the first year that we did Create in 2026. We've done 5. This is the first year I didn't have one of my therapists on stage. Some people are like, yeah, therapist, you bring your therapist? I'm like, heck yeah, I do. Like, I brought one on 3 years ago. Our journey is very similar. I'd just been in a 27-year marriage, ended about 5 years ago, moved out about 5.5, 6 years ago. And so, I'm walking through all the stuff, right? Oh, I'm ready today. I don't need a year. I don't need to. Yeah, whatever. I didn't have a clue. So I'm just going into my therapist's office and I'm just like going, okay, how do I get better? Like, what do I need to do? So that's me, healed and whole. So that is front and center. Every day I write that goal down twice a day. So I'm looking going, okay, where do I need to work on? I mean, I got married again in December. She has 3. So I've got 30 to 17. Hers are 11 and 2 9-year-old twins, boy, girl.
Okay.
I don't have boys. I got girls, 4 girls and a
You do
grandbaby.
have a lot of girls.
I like, dude, I didn't know boys could pee all over the wall. I'm like, dude, what in the world is wrong with you guys? Do y'all not have any aim? So I'm super mega. I tell people I'm not OCD, I'm CDO because that's alphabetical order. Like it's got to be and I'm like, so now I'm having to go, holy cow, what's it like to have 3 kids in the house 50% of the time? So you want to talk about driving me back to me healed and whole? Okay, what does Ken need to work on? It just drives me back there. And then my last one is I live by code. I'm aware of my thoughts, language, energy, money, and my sexual desires. Those are the 5 things I keep tabs on to make sure they're where they need to be. And I write those goals, bro. Right here they are. I write them down every day, 2 times a day, at least 300 times a year. People go, what? I heard Grant Cardone say this at the 10X boot camp in October of 2019. They had the whole room stand up, 600 people. He goes, how many of you guys write your goals down once a year? Whole room stands up. Okay, stay standing if you write them once a month. 3/4 of the room sits down. Stay standing if you write them once a week. 10 people are standing. Stay standing if you write them down every day. Nobody's standing. Grant goes, I'm the only one standing in the room. You know why? Because I write my goals down twice a day, at least 300 times a year, which means I know exactly where I'm going. I'm writing my goals down 600 times a year. There's no drift. Like drift is the buzzword on the internet.
That's right.
I saw another one of my buddies posted an ad today and he used the word drift. And I'm like, well, this is strong because now everybody's using it. There's no drift, bro. When you get up and you take care of your morning every morning and you know goals, gratitude, what am I grateful for? I tell people, pick the phone up and text somebody. Yeah. Hey, dude, super grateful for you, man. Thank you for being in my life. You did fill in the blank. Let me tell you what this meant to me. I tell people, if you've got a gratitude journal, and a lot of people do, they're great, but get your gratitude off your paper and put it on your phone. Mm-hmm. Send somebody a video. I talk about it in my book. Send somebody a video. Be like, how awesome would it be to get a video? And hey, Mark, man, thank you for making a difference in my life, dude. Thank you for doing blah, blah, blah. Dude, it makes you feel like $1 million. That's encouragement, right. The word encouragement means to add courage to. It's like I'm saying, dude, let me let you borrow some of my courage. Because some days we don't have it. That's what community's for. Goals, gratitude, affirmations. I have 5. I created all of them for me. They're 4 kids. One of them is I live by code. I'm aware of my thoughts, my language, my energy, my money, and my sexual desires. Every day I write those 5 things down. And then my top 3. What are the top 3 things I have to get done today? Not 8, not 10, not 20. Top 3. That's what keeps me focused on exactly where I'm going. And that's, dude, December the 10th of 2019, I had been a licensee for Grant for a month, like 2 weeks, a couple weeks. I had been in Grant's mentorship program. It started at the end of the 2nd week or 3rd week in November. So 2 or 3 weeks. Well, there's 1,200, 1,400 of us in this mentorship group. Well, Grant picks me out because we got connected when I asked about becoming a licensee. He picks me out and dude, he starts spotlighting me on all these calls with 1,214 people. Well, he invites 12 people, 12 of the mentors or the mentees to come to the office. And he asked for me by name and told Sherry Ennis, who ran the mentorship, you pick the other 11 people, ask Ken if he'll speak to my team, all 180 people, my senior leadership team, and then to all the 12 guys when we're done. So I walk in, and I'm speaking for Grant. Like literally the first month I'm there. And dude, I'm walking in and you know what? It's everything that I'm doing right now. Goals, gratitude, affirmations, top 3. And those are some of the things that I learned from him. And just leaning into that and doing that every day, game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. That's not sexy. No, it's discipline. I mean, that's been a consistent thing with guys and women that we've interviewed who are really getting after it at our age and as they're getting older, but they're thriving. It's discipline, daily habits, consistency. It's a broken record, really. And I know everybody kind of goes, okay, I got to do this. It's like, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. I mean, it's not,
dude,
it's not
easy. I tell people all the time. I created a framework right when I started this process called incremental, not monumental. Small, daily, disciplined decisions over time always equal monumental results.
That's right.
You do the right things every single day and success cannot escape you. Success will chase you down if you do the right things. What's John Maxwell say? Show me your day timer, show me your calendar, I'll tell you how successful you're going to be. What's Jim Rohn say? Show me how you spend your time and who you spend your time with, and I'll tell you how successful you're going to be. and people look at it and they're like, and then when people do it and they achieve, they're like, ooh, some things are happening in my life. I'm seeing some things come to pass. And then they stop doing it. And I'm like, ooh, hey, right here. This isn't rocket science, but it's almost like Jesus talking to the religious people right over their head. And he's like, really, it's this easy. The gospel's this simple. Right. And that's how entrepreneurs do. We can be the worst. Like it really is simple. Small daily disciplined decisions, not massive, small. Just get in the habit of doing the same thing every day. My morning routine, dude, my clothes for the gym tomorrow are already laid out in my room with my towel and everything in the corner in my seating area. They're already sitting there. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't go, am I going to the gym? No, my clothes are right there. I'm going to get them. I'll walk downstairs. I'm going to grab my shaker that's already in the refrigerator with water. I'm going to put my pre-workout in it, mix it up, put my ice cube on, and I'm out the door. It's already pre-decided what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't decide in the morning when I wake up.
Yeah, 100%. We know you've talked a lot about the different parts of your life. You've talked about, being a pastor and business and real estate and obviously now coaching. And I think a lot of times as people are getting older, and especially if they're watching this, they're in a mindset of either they're already doing what they need to be doing and they're looking for support, or they're being challenged to consider what they should be doing. And a lot of times people will talk to me about calling or purpose, or to use some cynics, the why, like they're trying to find that kind of core thing. And because you've gone through all these things, from pastor to business, real estate, coaching, now leading entrepreneurs, do you see those as career changes, or do you see those as an evolution of the same calling?
Oh, dude, I go right back to what Sean said. Ken, what I saw you do in that room, what I watched God do in your life for 15 years was to prepare you to do what you're doing right now. Because think about it, man, when we look at Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Love God, work for the good, called according to his purpose. Like all things, not just the great things. Divorce after 27 years. God says, you know what? If you'll let me, I'll work in that and I'll turn that. That's why one of my affirmations, dude, is I am whole. I choose to use past pain to help others find healing. Like when I walk through something, Mark, there's a purpose in why I'm walking through that. Like I've got 4 daughters and I'm in between my 30-year-old and my 27-year-old. I wrote about it in my book. My wife was pregnant with 6.5 months with twin boys. And we lost them 6.5 months. In the midst of me growing one of the largest youth ministries in the country and hosting my own national youth leadership conference with Danny Chambers, Ron Luce, and Richard Cusco, who are 3 of my closest friends. And Ron was my mentor, and ran a Choir of the Fire, which was the largest parachurch youth thing ever. Like I'm right in the middle of all that. And this happened. And you're like, hang on, God. Like this isn't how this is supposed to play out. Dino just lost his son like 3 weeks ago. Like that's not how it's supposed to play out. But if I'm going to lean into Romans 8:28, no, God, you know what? This absolutely sucks. But I'm trusting you that all things work together for my good. And whatever I'm going through now, there is a purpose in my pain now to help somebody in the future circumvent some of the season they have to sit in that pain. Let me help you avoid some of the stuff and help you get out, because when we get in that tunnel, I had another friend 2 weeks ago. He's super successful, dude. His abs have abs. He's one of the guys that's kind of helped me in this health journey. I'm on a call with one of my corner guys, Troy, who introduced me to him. Dude, he took his life 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And I'm like, holy cow. Like there is a pandemic of over 80% of all suicides are white men over 40 or 45 years old. It's an insane number. It's an insane number. And I'm watching that, and you're like, well, is that Kilo Wuju? No, it's not. It's not at all. It's when you look at this, God, I am whole. I choose to use past pain. If there's ever an affirmation that lines up with Romans 8:28, it's that affirmation right there. God, I don't know why I'm going through what I'm going through. I can't imagine what Dino and Delina and their family are walking through right now. Like I can't imagine that. Like, God, regardless, Romans 8:28, God, all things, and I'm going to trust you and I'm going to walk through the process. And God, you help mold me and make me in the man I need to be. Joseph was 17 years old when God said, your brothers are going to stand before you and you're going to save your family. 20 some odd years later, that thing comes to fruition and comes to pass.
Yeah. we've been talking about this a lot at home. My wife's in the middle of getting her master's degree, and she just wrote a paper on Genesis 22, Abraham, Isaac, and the whole sacrifice thing. And it's fascinating, the research she's done. I've learned even so much more about it. But one of the biggest takeaways, to your point, was the absolute faith that Abraham demonstrated in the midst of what made no sense. There was no logical explanation for it. God's made him a promise. This would violate the promise, at least in human eyes. So when he talks about the fact that he tells the servants, we will be back. It's like he knows that God's not going to break this promise. He doesn't know how. He doesn't know what it looks like. He doesn't know if he's going to die and come back from the dead. He doesn't know anything, but he believes that in the midst of that, and he's literally got the knife up, ready to follow and be obedient. And then the angel says, no, I've got something else for you. And that was my big takeaway from that story, was just that, it's so easy for us to get distracted, to be down about stuff, to say God's not in this. It's like, no. Even when you can't see him working, there is something powerful happening. And usually when things don't make sense to earthly eyes, that's when you really know God is at work. There's something going on. There's something that he is trying to work out. A lot of people, as I've been doing this now for almost a year, and this has been such a topic that I'm kind of being inundated with from other people who are, you and I are the same age, 57. A lot of people hit their 50s or 60s and they start asking that question, am I kind of done? Is my best work behind me? What would you say to somebody who feels like their window of impact is closing or over? What would you tell them to move through that?
Yeah.
And that's such a softball question for you, but I really want to hear what you would say.
He's just never done. I mean,
That's right.
We've been talking inside of our community for about the past 3 months. I've got about 62, 63 people in our community. And we've been talking the last few months. And one of the main things that God showed me 2-3 months ago was, Ken, it's your job to be obedient. It's my job. It's God's job to build your business. It's not your job. You be obedient and learn to become the best version of yourself. But let me grow. Let me grow your business. Let me bring in the revenue. Let me bring in the relationship. You just obey. You just steward well and obey what I've asked you to. Again, that's as simple as incremental, not monumental, small daily discipline decisions. It's not rocket science. It's just, do you have space in your life or in your calendar where you're specific on calendaring and doing the things you need to do to get them in every day? And when you look at those, it's like, okay, this is exactly what I want to become, and who I know that God's doing something in me to become this person.
Yeah. One thing we sound here a ton, kind of one of our mantras, is there's no expiration date on purpose.
That's right.
We talk about it a lot. And one of the reasons I wanted you to come on here was because, even though you've had success throughout your career, when you made this decision a few years ago, you were already north of 50 and you made a huge pivot to go in a different direction, a next step in your calling, like we just talked about. But nonetheless, you were risking everything you had to go in this new direction. And when I was in your mastermind a couple of weeks ago, I noticed, a lot of the people were similar to us, and they were older people. Do you see that a lot, where people are really discovering some of their greatest assignments at this later stage of life?
Well, dude, if you look back and you look at all the stuff, Colonel Sanders, if you just go through the list of people that have crushed it, Warren Buffett, they all crushed it when they were 55, that they started at the 55 to 60 age. None of those guys really made it till they're in their mid 60s. And I think the thing is it's when we talk about stewardship, we often talk about stewardship from the context of our resources, our money and our finances and our possession. But we also got to think about, like, God, like, you've given me this life, and I want to steward it well. And I'm going to trust you that what you have created me to do is filled with purpose. It's filled with kingdom impact and kingdom influence. And God, I'm going to trust you. And I may not understand, God, why did we lose twin sons at the 6.5 months mark of our pregnancy? Why did this happen? And you just have to navigate through life and go, okay, God, I'm just going to trust you. And I'm going to lean into, and this is, again, Psalms 119:11, God, I've hid your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. That's why scripture memorization is so massive, And because you get the word in you, you're like, because the enemy will come at you, he even did with Jesus, with the word at the very end.
That's right.
It's like you need to know scripture enough to have where, because it's hard. Listen, life is difficult. Ministry, difficult. Business, entrepreneurship, difficult. You just got to choose your level of difficult. I meet with guys. I've got a guy doing business and landscape business, about $12 million a year right now. And I'm like, dude, what do you want? I always start with, when I start with my one-on-one clients, I'm like, what do you want? They'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, tell me why you want that. I want my business to get to 15 million or 20 million, or I want to exit for X. Okay, why? What are you going to do? I just start asking those questions. I remember when Casey exited his company, he spoke at my mastermind in May of 2022, the first one we ever had. And Casey talked about, I sold this company for all this money. I'm buying everything I got. 6 months later, I'm contemplating suicide because I don't have any purpose anymore.
Yeah.
Like, get locked in on some scripture that goes, okay, God, this is, you called me according to your purpose. God, Ephesians 1 says, the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives on the inside of me. God, you have a plan and a purpose for my life. And God, whatever that looks like, I'm willing to walk it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the created for a purpose thing, I love to talk about that because I think a lot of times people think that I'm here and then God's trying to figure out something for me to do. It's like, no. The purpose pre-existed before he created you. He created you to fulfill a purpose.
Before I formed you in your mother's womb.
Yeah. I mean, so I made you to do something, not I've made you, now I'm trying to figure out what to do with you. We get it backwards so many times. And that purpose, like I said, it doesn't expire. It may morph and change. It may have different seasons. It may have all the things, but like, as long as we have breath in our lungs, there is something God has for us to do. And our whole thing here is just like, you've got more time, more resources, more network, more experience, more wisdom than you've ever had in your life. Hopefully that just keeps growing. Don't waste that playing golf every day. Don't throw that away. I mean, he has something. And I think one of the ways the enemy likes to get in our head, men especially, I think he gets us isolated. And you talk so much about proximity and the power of the people around you. Pastor Chris at our church, talks all the time about, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I know that's probably a John Maxwell quote that he's taken on. I keep hearing it go back, and earlier John might have gotten it from somebody else. I'm not sure, but
John always says, he goes, the first time I use something, I'll say, I heard Mark Clement say. Right. Second time, he says, I've heard it said, and then the third time it's I've always said.
Right. That's right.
So it turns into your quote after a few times.
That's right. I get to a place where I know I didn't come up with it, but I'll just say, I know this isn't mine, but I use it a lot.
Right.
But why do you think so many men, especially men, women too, but men especially, become isolated as they get older? And again, especially as much as you preach about proximity and who you surround yourself with, how do they fight against that? What should they be doing to battle that?
Be intentional. You have to calendar and be super intentional. You have to put it. That's why I tell people all the time, like, listen, I don't care if you come join our ecosystem, but you better be with somebody. Like, we were in a room last night. My buddy Wes Gay was on. Wes and Donald Miller. He's partners with Donald in the Story Brand Mastermind. They do it together. Wes has been a friend of mine I paid Wes $10,000 to come in and do the copy for my landing page, to run it through the whole Story Brand thing with all my agents 6 years ago. 6 years ago. No, longer than that. 2019. 7 years ago. Like, he's really, really good. Well, we hop on a call last night I've got 27, 28 entrepreneurs on a Zoom call, and Wes is just pouring into those. Find a community that you can get into of people. I call it, there's 3 spheres really of proximity: community, circle, corner. Community, that large group you travel with. Like, we have a larger group, like obviously our Create conference this year will be close to 1,000 people. We've got a large community. Circle, Jesus had 12. Who are the 12 people you're spending the most time with, and how often are you reviewing who that is? You need to be in a group where you're somewhere in the middle, where you can help. There's a few people you can help. There's a few people in that group that can help you. That's part of it. And then corner. Everybody needs 3, 4 guys or ladies in your corner that have, and I got this from Sean Lovejoy 15 years ago. Sean was like, Ken, I'm in your life because to have a 10,000 foot view. Sean says it all the time. So I need some people to have a 10,000 foot view of my life that can speak into, and they know what's going on in my life. Craig Rochelle, we had dinner with Craig down at Celebration Church in like 2011, 2012. It was a bunch of art pastors, about 15 of us. We had just all planted our churches in the last year and a half, 2 years. We had dinner with Craig, and I'll never forget, Craig said, guys, He goes, two things. Number one, he goes, you're only as sick as your secrets.
Right.
Somebody in your life needs to know what's going on. So your corner guys, you better have some people that know what's going on. And the other thing he told us that day was, he goes, what's everybody want? And obviously all the guys, I mean, there's some studs in that room too. They're killing it, right? And everybody raised their hand. They're like, impact, influence, build the kingdom, see people get saved, all the stuff, right? And Craig looked at us and he goes, okay, guys, I want you to understand one thing. Your level of impact and influence will only be and always be equivalent to your ability to tolerate pain. I was like, whatever. You have no idea. Like, you've been doing this master thing until I started senior pastor. And then I'm like, oh, he was right. He was spot on, man. Your ability. And that's the same way in I don't think business is in entrepreneurship's any different.
Yeah.
Your ability to have impact, influence, and scale is going to be your ability to be able to tolerate pain. And a lot of pain is looking at the mirror and going, how does Ken need to get better? What do I need to do to improve?
Yeah. That's literally what I was about to ask you. You cut right to it before I could say it. So, you're around a lot of really successful people. I mean, that's obvious, and they're the people who are growing, and even if they're already successful, they're looking to be more successful. I do think a lot of people, as they get older, a fear can set in about losing what they've already built. Should I be risking this? How much should I risk?
Yeah.
And it can become paralyzing. They get to where they're stuck because they're holding on too tight to this, and they can't reach for the thing that they're trying to reach for. And you got the whole thing. You got to let go to grab the other thing and all that kind of stuff. So, what do you think the secret sauce is to help people, leaders at all levels, be willing to take more risk? Is it a faith issue? Like how would you talk about that?
Well, a couple things. I always ask my guys, and again, I've got 14 guys I work with one-on-one, companies from 1.8 million to 91 million. And my thing is like, what do you want? Like, I love Mark 11 where Jesus is walking down the street and blind Bartimaeus is shouting at him. And Jesus comes up and he goes, what do you want? And blind Bartimaeus, I'm thinking, you read that scripture, it's like, I thought it's funny. He's like, what do you mean, what do you want? He's blind. He wants to see. What do you mean, what do you want? But Jesus was like, no, I'm going to ask you a question because faith is specific. If faith is not vague, it's very specific. And so I think for us, it comes from the purpose part of, God, what are you leading me to do? What do you want me to do? And I think the biggest thing is just really leaning into and going, okay, God, this is yours. I'm going to give it to you and I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to embrace the process. Because the process, you talked about Joseph earlier. We did talk about Joseph, 17 years old, 23 years later or whatever, 22 years later, that came to pass. Look at all the stuff he had to go through to get there. Yeah. Potiphar's wife, getting thrown in prison. Becoming he went from prison to all the way up in the whole, upper echelon of the government, only to be threatened, by falsely accused by Potiphar's wife. And he gets thrown back in prison again. And he just has to go through the whole process. Look at all that stuff he had to do. Yeah. We live in a culture, man, we don't want to go through stuff. And unfortunately, it's just like building muscle in the gym or losing weight. If you don't put tension on a muscle, it's not going to grow. If you don't have discipline and say, nope, I'm not going to eat that, or I'm not going to drink that, or I'm not going to do this after this hour, or I'm going to go to bed at this time and I'm going to be disciplined to get up and get out of my bed in the morning. Like if you don't have those things, it's going to be hard for you to accomplish what it is God wants you to accomplish.
Yeah. When you talk about that with people and you're looking at those people who are doing it well, what is the key, if you had to boil it down to one or two things, and it may be the thing you've said already now 5 times, but what separates those people who are continuing to grow at 50, 60, 70 and beyond and those who are just coasting? What's the key ingredient, you think?
It can be all over the board right there, because you can have guys that grind because they don't know how to rest, and it's not healthy. Like it's completely different. When I know you asked me a question just a minute ago about what's the difference in people that make the decision. And when I ask guys, business owners, like, what do you want? I always go back to, like, guys will go, well, I want to grow. And I'm like, because you ask about risk, I want to grow. Okay. What do you feel comfortable with putting out there? I've got guys that have got, one of my guys, he's got to go buy 2 or 3 new landscaping crews because they can't keep up. It's $100,000 a pop, $300,000. Okay, well, you tell me what's palatable for you to where you can, I have a theme every year. This year it's build foundation for our organization. Last year it was seek peace. So dude, if it don't bring me peace, I'm not going to do it. So I guess my answer to you would be, as an entrepreneur, what can you do that doesn't keep you up in the middle of the night that you're worried about?
Yeah.
Like, take risks, take a step. And here's, again, I'll drive all the way back to the beginning of our conversation in Psalms 46, our 46:10 moments. Like, when's the last time you got still and just say, God, what do you have for me? What do you want? And then just listen to God. Like, okay, God, speak to me. Like Proverbs 29:18, where there's no vision, people perish. Well, the Ken Joslin version is, where there is vision, people can flourish.
That's right.
Because when you do have vision and you know God spoke it to you, you won't quit. I'll share this and I'll let you ask you this question. I was playing some cards with a buddy of mine in Indianapolis. We're euchre partners, killing people, playing euchre. And we're playing euchre, and he was on the board of Bain Capital. He's a CEO of Surgery Partner. He's building a ridiculous house in Troubadour right outside of Nashville. And I'm like, Wayne, his name's Wayne DeVite. I'm like, dude, tell me about the process of becoming a board member for Bain Capital. It's the largest hedge fund in the country. And he's like, dude, it was 2 days of exams in the office, like all these tests, and it's a ridiculous amount of things that they did to us. And he goes, do you want to know what the number one thing they were looking for executives and board members for Bain Capital? The number one characteristic was grit. You just don't quit. I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do exactly what I know I need to do. That's what when Warren Buffett said, I've been doing the same thing for 72 years. The same thing for 72 years. And some people, that's boring. Well, if it's boring, then do what you got to do for you to be able to walk in a level of fulfillment of what God's called you to do, because your life's different than mine. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not your Holy Spirit. I can't tell you what God has for you. Get alone. That's 46:10. Be still and know that I'm God. That word know is the same Greek word as in Genesis chapter 4, where it says Adam knew Eve and she bore him a son. There's an intimacy. God, I just want to know you. I want to be intimate with you. And when you do that, God will speak. And when you hear him, it's what I tell people at Create every year, bro. You write this vision down in these core 5 framework areas. I'm telling you that there is no amount of things that hell can put in front of you that will keep you from doing what God's called you to do, because you know God's called you to do it. Yeah. Like, you won't stop. You can't stop. There is that grit and that drive, that just consistency of, you know what? I'm going to get up today. I mean, I felt like crap for 10 days in a row. I still only missed like 2 days of workouts, 3 days of work. I'm like, I ain't missing. Even if it's light, even if it's not as heavy, I'm going to work out. I'm going to go get red light therapy, and I'm going to go sit in that red light sauna at 180 degrees for 20 minutes. Yeah. And just get this stuff. So I'm going to do it because I know that's what I need to do, and not veg out in front of Netflix, which I ain't got nothing wrong with watching the show we're doing. But like, what is your time going towards? Yeah. If you're taking care of you, I sent a text out to our group this morning, to my corner guys, my one-on-one guys. I said, because the one thing I see high performing guys, the number one area they let slip is their personal health. Number 2 is their time with Jesus. Those are the top 2 things that go. And then it's family, and then it's business and finances. When the reality of it is, dude, 95% of people that come to Create, we've had thousands of people come to Create. 95% of people that come to Create that I have conversations with, I thought I was here for business and finance. I umpired college baseball for a long time, and my Division II national coordinator of umpires got out and he started doing the ERC tax credits a couple years ago. He made almost $1 million in 1 year. This guy's never made more than 150 grand in his life. He was 15 grand short of $1 million. Well, I had my therapist this one. This was 2 years ago. We're doing a therapist panel. Pastor Dennis and Colleen Rouse from Victory Church here in Atlanta, massive church, great church. They're on the panel with us. And Dr. Morgan's talking about something. Well, she says something. We're asking questions, and she answered a question. I look down, and Scotty just pops up out of his seat and runs out the door. And I'm like, where in the world? I saw him later. I said, Scotty, where did you go in the middle, at the very end of the panel session on relationships? He was like, man, when Dr. Morgan said something about a husband, he goes, I realized what an asshole I've been to my wife for 25 years. I had to get up and go outside and call her and apologize for being an asshole and not being I'm dying, bro. He's sharing this on my call, and I'm loving it, because he's like, I thought I was there for business and finances, but it was my relationship and my wife. And that's why I tell people in the planner that I created, I tell people, Plan the night before. Most important 30 minutes of your week or Sunday night. You're planning out your week. You know exactly. My wife and I do it what's going on all week. Everything goes written in my calendar, in my Google Calendar. And then every night before we go to bed, 10 minutes, tell me what tomorrow looks like. Here's what I've got. Here's my breaks I've got. Let's go grab a taco, or let's go get a margarita. Let's do this for dinner tomorrow night. Like, we're constantly communicating. But if you go to bed every night and you know what your schedule's like the next morning, you wake up with a focus and a drive to go after what it is. But it just goes back to incremental, not monumental. Small daily discipline decision. And it's just doing it, man. I talked a little bit about Grant's thing when he had me come in and speak in front of those 12 guys, those 12 other mentees that day, December the 10th of 2019. And out of those 12, I still know all of them today, but nobody's done what I've done. Bro, nobody's done even close to what I've done. And they had big dreams, because Grant went around the table, tell me what you want to do and tell me what you want to do. And I guarantee you, like, talent level, ability, all the stuff, I'm probably midway in that room, maybe a little bit on the bottom. But I just don't stop, dude. I just do it every day. If you get on my Instagram, every day you'll see a worship song in the morning. Every day you're going to see a sweaty gym picture. Why? Because I've lost 100 pounds. You know how many people comment every week? Ken, I wasn't going to the gym today and I saw your picture.
Yeah.
You know,
I love those posts.
And I saw this worship song.
Yeah. Yeah. This wasn't on our list, but I wanted to ask you this question. You've mentioned this a couple times. You talked about your spouse and how you guys do things together. Yeah. And I don't know how involved she is in your daily, like the business itself, but your life at large, obviously she's a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And I know in the coaching I've done with people over the years, we do a lot of launching coaching. So like helping people launch a ministry, a business, write a book, et cetera. That's a lot of what we do. And one of the first things I ask when I start doing a one-on-one with somebody is I'll talk about their family and their spouse and their involvement, their support, if they're on board, all that kind of stuff. And if they're not on board or there's a tension there, that's always like a huge red flag. Okay, hang on before you. So how do you talk about that with your people? And I know it seems like a little bit of a left turn, but I wanted to ask that question because I think for anybody as they're getting older and again, they're listening to this and they're hopefully thinking about what's God calling me to do. And they're not all going to be mega entrepreneurs or whatever. That's obviously not the point of what you're talking about. That's just who you deal with a lot. But anybody who's trying to take that next step, whatever it is, to be more faithful, more obedient, to get into their purpose, et cetera. Just talk about that topic of the spouse, how important it is to be in alignment, how that works, what are some practical steps?
Yeah, it's massive. Number one. And I was watching Josh Howerton did a video last week or week before last on just submission, biblical submission. And he just talked about what it was. It's husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, being willing to lay your life down, and then wives be submissive to your husbands. And, one obviously comes before the other. Michelle and I she's actually helping design our new office. We're moving our new office, 1,200 square foot studio, plus a ton of office space, another 2,000 square foot of office space for us. So she's helping like with some design stuff and those kind of things. She helps with and it's funny, dude. I mean, we got married in December, right? December the 20th, and we're married 6 months this weekend, Saturday. Yeah. And so we get married, and about a month ago, we're just having a conversation, and we're in the kitchen. She starts crying. I was like, baby, so what's wrong? Because I just want to be more involved in what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I just don't feel like I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I don't want to tell you what I want to do. I want you to give me something. And I went, babe, I don't do that with my own employees. Like, we've got like 9 employees. Like, I don't do that with them. I'm like, here's the job. You tell me where you're at. And then we'll see if you're a fit. And she was like, well, I love, on our mastermind, some of the meals were good, but they weren't that good. Let me do some of the creative stuff. So I've got Mary, who's on my team, who's an executive assistant to me. She's in the office like 10 hours a week. And she is great on those creative things for our new book. She's doing the design for our boxes to mail those out to clients and friends and all those kind of things. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get you with Mary. Mary literally just texted me 30 minutes ago. Hey, send me Michelle's cell phone number so we can plan for the Corner Couples Weekend. I'm like, okay. So she's doing some of those things, but I think it's just communication, and it would be easy. I think you talk about me, the personal work I've done in the past, I would have gotten upset if she would have cried. I would have thought I'd done something wrong. I would have been like, oh my God, what'd you do wrong? But I'm sorry, babe. Why? And I was like, I just looked at it and I went, oh. I said, well, babe, that'd be Grayson. Tell me what you want to do. He's like, I don't want to tell you. I want you to tell me. And I said, no. It doesn't work that way. what do you want to do? Again, it goes right back to Mark 11 when Jesus said, blind Bartimaeus, what do you want? Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things what? Hoped for. Hoped for. What do you want? Like, start with that. And that's exactly what I asked her. And so now we're texting back and forth for office design, and we're doing full stage, teaching stage. We can do worship on, and then we have a podcast little setup on the side in there as well. So she's helping pick out a lot of that stuff. So I think I think guys, if there are guys on the call and you're the CEO, if your lady's on the call and you're the CEO, I just ask my spouse. It's like, hey, do you want to be more involved? How do you feel like? Because there are some things, listen, my wife, now there's two things. We have to have discernment as husbands, because wives sometimes will say stuff they'll be so far off in left field. You'll be like, maybe you've never ran a business, because you just don't know. But then there's times when they'll say something and you may think it's out in left field, and they have discernment. She said something to me yesterday. And she said, I said something about the team and something. She goes, oh, I told you and you didn't get it, but your team tells you, you know exactly where I'm going with this.
I've heard that
and
before.
I just leaned into her and I hugged her. She's sitting, because she works in sales. So she's in her own office downstairs. So I just leaned up behind her. She's in her chair and I hugged her and I said, baby, I'm a man. And sometimes we're just not that smart. I need all the help I can get. Like, I need it from everybody. But so I think it's just have the conversation with your spouse. What kind of involvement do you want? What do you want to know or need to know? Like, because we did have the conversation then. I said, I don't ask you about, she does medical sales, home healthcare sales. She's like the number one person in her office out of like 13 salespeople. And I'm like, I don't tell you how to do that. I mean, if you have a question, I'll ask, but just on the kind of culture stuff. But I don't ask because I don't know that business. But I've said, but you can ask whatever question you want, anything you want to do, because she's at all of our events. So I just think as a spouse, just ask your spouse. Just say, hey, do you want to be more involved? What do you want to know? Are there things that I share with you? You're like, I don't need to know that. Or are there things that you want to know that I haven't told you? Communicate. And people are like, well, we don't have time. Well, put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just telling you, calendar. I have red time on my calendar tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night. I had red on my calendar. I have 4 calendar codes, but red is time with people that I love.
Yeah.
Like, and those things, my red time on my calendar, my blue time, which is my personal time, my gym, therapy, office, like my quiet time, like my team does not touch those times. And some of those are in the middle of the daytime. They don't touch them. They know better. Like those are my time, because I have to make sure Ken's sharp or I can't help everybody else that I'm supposed to help.
Yeah. I love your answer, because I think a lot of times people have this misconception that, the most successful people, they do everything together and they're in the business together and all. And we see that a lot, in social media, and sometimes that is the case. But I'm like you, my wife, it sounds like our wives are very, very similar. She was sales background. She works at Highlands College now. Yeah. And we overlap a lot. I was an executive there for several years and she still is there. And so we know the culture there. And so we talk about it a lot. She's not super involved in my daily business, but she knows what's going on, and she knows my schedule. She has a copy of the calendar. She knows, she's praying for me in certain things. She is praying for this interview. I've got a call this afternoon with a potential speaking engagement tied to the podcast. Like, she's on that. She's supporting me spiritually. She's very aware of what's going on. Yeah. She doesn't want to be on the podcast. She's done it a couple times and was phenomenal, but it's just not her thing, and that's fine. She doesn't really understand how my bigger business really operates, because she's more of a structured salary person, and I'm a solopreneur. And so when we got married, we're coming up on 10 years. But that was we had to work on that a lot, because it's just different feeling and understanding and who's comfortable with what and all the things. But even though we don't do it together, literally, we are doing it together spiritually. Support, prayer, covering is a word we use a lot. And I think I love to hear that you're saying the same thing. And there's no wrong answer either way works, but you're right. It is.
And I just think it's different. It's based on couple. Just think it's based on your couple. Listen, we're completely different human beings. The couples are the same. You got some couples that love to work together. I don't know. I told her the other day, I said, I did something. I was being silly. I was acting like a 15-year-old because I do that a lot. And she looked at me. She was just like, my wife was like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, hey baby, it may not be too late to get an annulment. It's like, I know I'm a handful. And she was dying laughing. She was like, where in the world do you get this much energy? Like, especially not feeling good for about a week and a half. But it was fun. I just communicate, man. The communication is key.
Yeah, 100%. Well, hey, you've mentioned your book a couple times, and I just love God's providence and how timing always works out. And we've been talking about this for a couple of months, and when this comes out in August, your book is coming out right on the heels probably of when this interview comes live. So I'd love for you to just take a few minutes and tell us about the book, where they can get it, what it's about, where it came from. Just your whole thing about it. I'd love to.
Yeah. Gary Brecka, one of my dear friends, top biohacker in the world, wrote the foreword for me, and it really started back in October of 2021. Before I ever did even create, this was just a small event I did in Vegas, and Gary was one of my speakers there. And I remember Gary talked to that day. His talk was on this new study. They think it was Harvard Medical Review, new study they had on the electromagnetic frequencies we emit as human beings. And so he was talking about how the highest recorded, and he's showing all the scientific stuff because that's Gary. He's got all the stuff on the board, and he's like, the highest frequency we emit as human beings. And he gave like 3 or 4 options, and everybody picked love. They thought love was the highest frequency, and it wasn't. Authenticity was the highest frequency. So Gary went into talking about what creates that frequency of authenticity is a deep understanding of a subject coupled with a deep passion about a subject. And when you have that, it creates an authenticity. And so in my book, The 14 Frequencies of Proximity, authenticity, I call it the connection frequency. That's what allows us to connect with other human beings. Because we all get around people. I just had a conversation about somebody yesterday. Like we all get around people and you can tell they're just not genuine and not authentic. And you're like, oh my God, this is hard. Because
they just suffer through this.
Yeah, it's like they put this facade on. It's like, so the whole book started out of that conversation with Gary. And then I've been doing the 3 spheres of proximity, the community circle corner. I've been doing that talk for 3 years now. Proximity really is a cheat code. Like it is the cheat code of all cheat codes. All you are from where you are today in the next level is the right information and the right relationship. And that right relationship normally has the right information. And you can't get information from everybody. Dude, I'm walking through a 100-pound health journey for 5 years. Who better do I have? Listen, I'm sitting 2 years ago in January, 2.5 years ago, I'm in Costa Rica at RMI, one of the top stem cell companies in the world. And the stem cells down there, it's about 40 to 50K a pop for 3 days to go down there and do all the stuff that they have. And so I go down there, I'm meeting with my functional medicine doctors. Well, they get my blood work back. My testosterone is like in the 240s. It's terrible. They can't even imagine it's that low because I've got a ton of energy. Well, I'm sitting there. I've got Gary Brecka on the big screen TV, my 2 functional medicine doctors, my nutritionist at RMI, and then Josh Porter, who's in my corner. Josh has 5 hormone replacement clinics. He's a PA. I got all these guys speaking into my blood work. We're literally walking through my blood work. How do you not get better doing that? Well, that in that frequency of authenticity, it's how you connect and build relationships. And I've got some of the most amazing friends on the planet, And the whole book came out of that whole frequency of authenticity. My proximity is a cheat code talk about, really when you make that right relationship, dude, it literally opens a door for you to go to the next level. And I know I shared this with you off air earlier, a key fob. Like I've got a key fob for the pool in our subdivision. That key fob has what's called a 14-bit proxy code. And that proxy code is a 14-bit frequency, 14 different frequencies that go. And when they leave the key fob and they match with the card reader, what happens? Door clicks, door open, the lock clicks, door opens, you go to the next level. Relationships are the exact same way. And so I identified 14 frequencies that we have to develop in our lives as Christ followers and faith-based entrepreneurs to be able to build the relationships with the 5 most important relationships. Straight out of the core 5. Your relationship with Jesus, that's first. Your relationship with yourself, your personal health. Your relationship with your loved ones, your spouse, your kids, your relationship with your team at work, your business, and then your relationship with money, your finances. What are the 14 frequencies that expand across those 4 or 5 areas that we can intentionally grow on? And we gave you steps on how to grow. How do I grow in my level of authenticity? How do I grow? The joy is the renewal frequency. How do I grow in joy? How do I make sure that I'm not living off a reservoir of happiness? And if all the circumstances around me are great, I'm in a great mood and people want to be around me. What do I do when things aren't going great? What do I look like? What's my countenance like? How am I to people that are around me? Or can I really draw on joy? Nehemiah 8:10, joy of the Lord is my strength. Can I really draw on joy which is an internal thing versus an external thing. So we walk through those 14 frequencies, identify them, explain them, and give you a path to be able to grow in each of those frequencies.
Man, that sounds awesome. I got a little preview at the masterclass a few weeks ago. Not the masterclass, but you kind of went into 3 or 4 of them, and it was like, wow. And I can't wait for the book to come out and read it. So we'll put a link in the show notes and make sure people can buy it. And what's the best way for them to connect with you, to just learn more about what you do, to get more information, hear your stuff, your social accounts, your name.
Yeah, at Instagram, at Ken Joslin. We also have our Create Conference link. And so Create Conference, I mean, I've had on that specific account, John Maxwell, Gary Brecka, Erwin McManus, Ed Milet, Brenda Bouchard, Jesse Itzler, Horst Schultze, Amberly Lago, Jen Gottlieb. I mean, the best of the best of the best. I'm in there. Jake Hamilton's in there. Troy Hoffman's in there. And so in that channel, it's just snippets. It's little minute reels of all of our speakers. So you can go in there, you can check that out. But just personal is at Ken Joslin. That's the easiest way.
Okay, cool. And your conference is it's in Atlanta and it's in the spring. Is that right? Like April?
January, the last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of January every year.
Oh, January. Okay.
January.
Gotcha.
Is when we do it. Yep.
All right, cool. So not that far.
We're nailing down a location now, and in the next probably 2 weeks, we'll nail down a location. It'll be around, more than likely, Alpharetta, Sandy Springs area.
Okay,
is where we'll be at.
Okay, cool. Well, man, I wish we could talk forever. We hit an hour, and I want to honor your time, and it's been awesome. I'm so excited for people to hear from you, and I hope people. I'm like, go follow Ken, get Ken's stuff, get the book and check it out, and I know they're gonna continue to learn from you. Hope some people go your way and get into programs, but so inspirational just to know what you've done, how you've kind of turned your life around. And I know we didn't have time to get into your whole story, but just the weight thing alone and your career and just all the turnaround, like it's super inspiring. And I hope people go, hey, if that guy who looks like a 15-year-old can do it, I can do it.
I do, man. If you don't, just go follow my wife, Curly Shell. Ask her, just DM her, say, does your husband really act like 15-year-old? She'll probably DM and go, nope, 13. That's probably
15 is too generous.
That's exactly right. 15 is too generous.
Well, man, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you being on here. It's been great.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that did not disappoint. I told you, high energy. Ken is a driven guy, and I encourage you to follow him on his platforms. We're going to put links and stuff in the show notes as always for his book, for his company, Grow Stack Drive, for his conference. It's all in there, so you can just go to his main link and get access to all of that. Get the book. It's an incredible read, and they've done a phenomenal job at putting that together. And that's obviously a big topic that he talks about all the time. So get kind of the user's manual on that, and you can find everything you need to know about Ken there. Hey, we've got some amazing guests coming up. We have Laura Allen, we have Mike Pea, we have Andy Robertson coming up, we have Lee Domain coming up. We have so many great guests in the lineup over the next several weeks and months, and we're so excited, and several more that we're working on right now. So make sure you don't miss an episode. And if you are new, make sure you go back and listen to or watch old episodes. I was really, really amazed over the summer while we were taking our summer hiatus, how many, the traffic that we were continuing to get all the way back to the beginning. And the numbers just kind of keep going up, and people are obviously, they find us and find the topic, find the conversation. They want to hear more of it. So love for you to go back and do that. One quick update. In the season opener last week, I shared with you a little bit about my brother, Matt, and some health problems he's been having. And he's doing great. He is home. He's doing rehab from home now. He's improving every day. He looks great, talks great, sounds great. The effects of the heart issue and the brain bleed and all the stuff that has happened are diminishing, and we are just praying for full healing and restoration for him. So please join us in that. Matt Clement, they live in Florence, South Carolina. Their church there, gosh, I'll start crying talking about it. They've loved him so well, and his wife Renee, and they've done an incredible job. I'm so proud. It just makes you proud to be a believer when you see a church like that rally around a person and support them and feed them. And they've got food coming out their ears from all the food that's been brought over and the gift cards and all that. So but anyway, just be praying for Matt. I appreciate that, and our family's very grateful for that. Can't wait to see you next week. It's going to be an amazing episode. See you there.